Welcome back, Sunday Footy Show. They look like a scene out of the Reservoir Dogs as they were coming in, but they've finally made it. From the Australian, Brett Reid, and from the Sydney Morning Herald, Andrew Webster and Michael Chamis. Good morning, gentlemen. Let's get straight into it. During the week, a couple of significant and influential figures in rugby league called for the judiciary to be blown up. Do you agree? And if so, what should it look like?
It's like a broken record, Stella.
It is.
Every year someone gets suspended and we go, blow up the judiciary, change it all.
And this is on the back of Latrell.
And it doesn't need to be blown up. You know the easiest way to solve it? Keep your forearms down. Keep your forearms down, you won't get charged. I mean, I don't mind if they tinker with it a little bit, maybe change the loading and the carryover points, but ultimately Latrell's suspended.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean change it? Get rid of them?
Maybe reduce the amount of loading you get for previous offences, maybe drop the percentage down. I don't have an issue with that. But you don't need to completely overhaul the system, and if Latrell keeps his forearm down, we're not even talking about it.
Yeah, sure. I think people have forgotten with Latrell the loading and the fact that he's rolled the dice at the judiciary. That's why it was 4 weeks. That said, I do think it's an insane system where Latrell's missing a month of football and Victor Radley is not missing any football at all. I spoke to a few coaches this week about what they think would be the best alternative, and they would like to see, and they think it would be more of a deterrent, if they made more sin binnings, more send-offs, if they had more of penalty on the field than taking it to the judiciary. I think the match review committee, I think all the different layers of gradings and reckless, careless, intentional, I think that's very messy.
It's fine.
Don't touch me. Or you'll be getting a grade 2 headbutt.
It's fine for them to say that, but the minute they lose a player to the sin bin or a bloke gets sent off, their arms will be up.
I'm just saying what they said. I'm just saying what they said.
If we take a walk down Fair Dinkum Avenue for a second, if this was someone, and no disrespect...
Where's that? Is that near Driver?
It's somewhere near Driver. It's close.
It's a Link Avenue.
But if it was someone like a Brad Parker or a Braden Williami, we're not sitting here today talking about it. We don't care. Latrell sells. Everyone talks about Latrell, whether it's good or bad. We're sitting here today. It wouldn't have been a brief in the paper for someone else. Isn't that what we want? The theatre around the game. I understand that. Yeah.
No, we don't want anyone. You're on No Idea Street at the moment. You don't want your best players out for a month of football.
No, I understand. But we're only making an issue because it's.
But do you honestly think in the dead set feeding department that's a month worth of money?
No, but he only got 2 games, Webby. He only got 2 games.
I get it. But you said it yourself. The loading's too much.
Should it be like traffic offences that when you go in, that your record impacts on the penalty that you get?
I don't think it should hang over you as long as it does.
Let's just put it on Twitter then. Let's put it on Twitter. Fans will vote, and that's whatever they get.
Why?
Mate,
well, what's the answer? No, everyone's saying we should blow it up.
The answer here now. We don't want it on Twitter.
I'm with Reedy. Their answer is I don't think it's broken. Everyone's going to complain if they get something they don't like. That's what happens. You think Wayne Bennett's going to complain if he got a week? He wouldn't have said a word.
Okay, all right, let's move on. Parramatta player caught in a compromising position. Not a good look at all, and I know you've written an article on this, Webby, so I'll come to you first.
Okay.
Should the Parramatta player involved in the sex tape face penalty?
Reedy and I are going to have a massive blue about this. No, they shouldn't. He shouldn't. Look, I understand that they are public figures, but they're not accountants. They're not politicians. They're young footballers.
It wasn't illegal.
It wasn't illegal. There was no crime committed. There was no charges. And all the focus has been on the Parramatta player when it should be on the idiot who filmed it and then distributed it and then try to get money out of media outlets for it. So I think more of the outrage should be towards that guy and not so much the Parramatta player in question.
Well, there's no idiot taking the video if he's not in a cubicle doing what he's doing. And he's a highly paid athlete.
So?
No matter what you say, he's a public figure. He's a public figure. And I'm not saying he should cop a massive whack over it. But he should be given a little tickle about it.
Why can't Andrew Abdo grab him and pull him in and just say, listen, mate, just be aware that there's going to be people out there that's going to film that?
Well, should he not know that, given what we've had happen over the past 2 years?
He's a young bloke.
Well, he's completely not read any stories over the past 2 years.
What do you reckon when you were 19 you weren't making bad mistakes?
I wasn't on 600 grand a year.
I'm 45. I'm still making these mistakes.
600 grand a year.
You reckon you're on 600? You'd be on that nearly.
I wasn't a high-profile footballer. I was just... No one knew I was.
Now, we have had a precedent.
Yes.
And there was no...
As I wrote, and it happened 14 years ago, and it wasn't even a story. I just think that the landscape... I understand that the landscape has changed. I just think... the same with Corey Norman, with Victor Radley, with Toby Rudolph. They're not robots. They're young men who make silly mistakes on the drink from time to time. I think the confected outrage over this one and over some of the last... There's a big difference between police charges and going DUI and anything in particular with women. to this, and people can't see the difference.
It's a terrible look. We've got no doubt about that. But if it's not filmed, we don't even know about it.
No, and I'm with Webby because I think the more you do this, you encourage people to go out there and start filming blokes and trying to get them in trouble. Like you said in your column, put him in the room and say, listen, mate, you've made a mistake. I know you're a good-looking 20-year-old man. Enjoy your life. But if you next time choose the location, the venue better. And if he doesn't learn from his mistakes, then we talk about a fine then.
All right, not quite sure the degree of mistake made by Katoni Staggs, but it is a third indiscretion in the space of 12 months. Does that make him less attractive as a proposition for clubs?
I don't think so. I think there are a lot of clubs who are so desperate for talent that they will overlook these sort of indiscretions. There are certain things in the game we've seen in the past. Players have got big money contracts for coming off indiscretions far worse than what Katoni's had in the past. So I don't think it's going to affect him at all. Where he ends up, it's still a mystery. I know Brisbane are confident that they're going to get him, but I don't know. Every day you hear a different story.
I think Katoni's biggest issue isn't with clubs, it's with the NRL and Andrew Abdo, because he's really upset with Katoni Staggs. He made that clear in February. He said, I want to sit down with the guy. He won't be allowed to play football again until I'm satisfied that he understands what he needs to do in his life to get it right. And you would suggest from what we've seen in the past week, he hasn't learned any lessons. He hasn't changed. So until that happens, Andrew won't let him back on the field anyway. So it won't matter what clubs are interested in him.
Okay. All right, let's go on to halfbacks. Didn't realise that Chad Townsend was going to be the first domino, but it's going to have that kind of effect, isn't it? Let's start with what it means maybe at Cronulla. Sean Johnson. Does it mean that the dilemma that there was in fitting 4 into 3, including Will Kennedy, now has gone and Sean Johnson partners Matt Moylan in the future, or would they bring someone else in?
Well, they are looking at Reynolds, aren't they? At Adam Reynolds. Again, I don't want to see you talk about broken records. I still don't understand why, in this halfback market and merry-go-round that's going on at the moment, White House just don't extend Adam Reynolds.
But no one's given him 3 years yet, Webby.
Do you reckon Cronulla won't?
Well, they probably will. Then good luck to him.
Exactly.
I thought Adam was prepared to cop 2.
He is prepared to cop 2. He is prepared to take 2.
I think they'll go Reynolds Johnson if they can, Cronulla. And Brisbane are obviously going to have a look at Reynolds. I think they'll have a look at Mitchell Moses. I think Brisbane will have a look at Sean Johnson as well, because they're desperate. They'll want to kill and they want a big name, and those 3 blokes are on their radar. So I think if I was hazarding a guess now, I think Cronulla will keep Johnson. They'll sign Reynolds. I wouldn't be surprised if Brisbane have a massive go at Mitchell Moses, and then the rest falls as it may.
Sterlo, do you wish you were still a halfback playing? Chad Townsend just got 2.4 according to Danny Weidler.
And a car.
Oh, and a car.
Yeah, I'd like
You were probably
Were you around that as
anyway,
coming on the market back in the day?
That's it. Well, Mitchell Moses, we know that he has got an option his way round 10. You don't think that's going to be...
I think Brisbane will try and tempt him with a lot of money, and I think that'll put the ball back in Parramatta. Parramatta have offered him, beyond the option, I think 2 years. But I think Brisbane will offer him more money and a longer term. And I think
they haven't got a lot of time.
No, but that's 3 years, yeah?
Yeah.
So Mitchell Moses would be mad to leave. Given what he's done at Parramatta, even if they don't win the comp this year or whatever, but he'd be crazy to go to a club struggling like Parramatta, having put so much time into Parramatta and Parramatta putting so much time into him. I'd be taking unders to stay at that club.
The premiership window that exists seems to be more for Parramatta at the moment than it does for the Brisbane Broncos, and to me that appeals as a player.
And I reckon, if you look at someone like Milford, it's all well and good to take the money and take the big contract, but be careful what you wish for. Because your football, I know it's a limited amount of time to only get a certain amount of money, but it's also a limited amount of time for your football career to win a premiership and do some good. So you've got to be careful with the club that you choose. I
think if Adam Reynolds does go, Benji staying at South is even more important if you're going to mentor a young player coming through. Just quickly, Latrell Mitchell out for the next 4 weeks. He'll have 2 games before Origin is selected on May 30. Will he be there for New South Wales game 1?
Far be it from me to tell Brad Fittler how to pick his team, but he should.
We do it all.
Why are you asking us? He was just in here.
I'm going to tell him right now. Left centre. Yes.
Left centre?
Yeah.
Last year, Gutherson and Whiten, centre pairing.
Well, I think he has to be. He has to be in the team, Latrell. I mean, you can't leave him out the way he's playing.
Turbo's back, played successfully in the centres.
He'll be on the wing. I think he'll be on the wing. I think he'll be. Freddie likes Jack Whiten. I think Jack Whiten and Latrell in the centres sounds pretty good to me.
Won't matter though, Steeler, because Queenslander, mate.
Addo Carr on one wing. Maybe Brian What about the battle for that spot? Brian possibly up against Tupou and Latrell.
He's unbelievable.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Oh, please. You thought we were in trouble last year.
Well,
Worst team ever.
I'm not getting 2.4. Thanks very much for bringing that up. But good to see you anyway, Webby. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you very much.